Hello and welcome back to Princess Evangile, where we are royally screwed. Yes. What is it that happened to Mitsuki-san recently? Has she attended Red Rose Society meetings? Yes, she attends every meeting, but when we bring up the White Lily Society, she makes some excuse to leave. I thought so. I thought that was strange. We haven't seen her for quite some time. I wonder what could have happened. I don't know either, but it seems like something something to do with Marika-sama. Marika-sama has been acting strangely as well. You remember, don't you? The time she came to Masaya-san's room unexpectedly. She's definitely been acting weird. She was even crying. Yes, she was treating him like a total enigma. That's when I thought that Marika-sama might have been torn over some trick that was anathema to her character. But if she was feeling torn, why'd she go through with it? I feel like we could find out if we just asked her. So I thought that her captain of the guard, Mitsuki-san, might know what's got her torn up so inside. Another possibility is that this could have been Mitsuki-san's idea all along, but I can't be sure. And that is why you wanted to ask Mitsuki-sama. Yes, while I don't enjoy employing such underhand tactics, I'm concerned for Mitsuki-san's well-being. That's why I'm going to ask her the first thing after class, and I'll report my findings directly after. After class, everyone came by for my consultation. Oh my, I've become so haggard since we last spoke. I'm pretty sure you look like you always have. We saw him just yesterday, after all. It just goes to show how lacking the school is without Masaya-san. I'm flattered. Ow! What was that for, Chio? You're leering at a time like this. I don't think I was... Those mean Jardin didn't mistreat you, did they? Nah, not at all. They just stayed by the door, never even saw him. Oh, too bad. I was hoping I could comfort you. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be worth it. Have you been keeping up with your studies during house arrest? Yeah, more or less. Sister Mishima brought me the printouts. I'm glad to hear it. The classes are continuing on without you, after all. I don't want you to forget that. Right. She's right. If you only eat and sleep all day, you lose all of that wonderful muscle mass. I'm a Masaya-sama all flabby with fat. Oh, I couldn't bear to see it. Right. I'll be careful. Now, I know you're glad to see everyone, but please listen to what I have to say. Well, what do you have to say? I thought that perhaps Mitsuki-san might be the Achilles heel of this situation, and so I went to speak with her earlier. And when the bell rang to mark the end of the class, Rise moved immediately to Mitsuki's classroom. And the atmosphere was relaxed now that class was over. However, rather than making conversation with her classmates, Ritsuko sat staring into space. She looked so listless. Was it possible that Mitsuki thought that Masaya really assaulted Marika? That would explain her depression. Mitsuki-san! She walked up to her desk and addressed her. Mitsuki looked up in surprise. She apparently hadn't even heard her approach. What do you want? You don't normally come to see me. Is it really so unusual? We used to see one another every day. Listen, Mitsuki-san, I want you to come with me. Where? Mitsuki's brow furrowed for a moment, then her expression relaxed. Anywhere that we can talk. What do you think of the rose garden? Of course. The others turned to watch them as they walked out together. They were often together in the intermediary course, but nowadays it was a rare sight. So, what did you want to talk about? Though her expression was normal, her manner was all business, and Rise let out an eternal sigh. But this is hardly the time to be thinking about that. Masaya-san's life is on the line. I was wondering what you thought about this latest incident, Mitsuki-san. Latest incident? You know what I mean. Mitsuki averted her eyes, and the gloomy expression from the classroom was back on her face. Well, It can hardly be helped, can it? Be helped? Rice tilted her head, wondering what she meant by that. It's a serious crime. Unprecedented at menaces. It's only natural. Only natural that someone who does something like that should have to leave the school. Listen, Mitsuki-san, there's something strange about what you said. How so? Why did you skip right to Misaya-san just now? Huh? I was shocked. I would have expected you to talk about Marika-sama first. You should be worried about her mental state, right? But instead, the first thing you mention is the man who should be a hated criminal. And in that case, it can hardly be helped is a shockingly generous way to refer to him. Mitsuki's mouth flapped wordlessly, and that was when Rise knew. She knew that Mitsuki had been the mastermind behind this incident. And what's more, she felt guilty about it. And that was that. It's just too bad I didn't secure a confession right there. You're right. If Mitsuki believed the truth of this incident, she would never have reacted like that. Rai-san nodded. I'm going to see her one more time tonight. I believe she will be easier to crack than Marika-sama. Besides, I'm worried about Mitsuki-san. After all, Rai-san and Mitsuki-san had once been good friends. Mitsuki-san has been acting kind of down, hasn't she? Yes. I've been getting the same impression from Marika-san. I didn't know what could have happened to make her act that way. I'm getting worried about her. You really are a good person. Am I really? But perhaps you've just always been that way. You didn't even reproach them for searching your room. Nor for driving you out of the room naked. When I learned that that was the reason for your walk, I realised that you really were truly generous of spirit. Yeah, it's more that it was too cold to stay standing around. Regardless, we have to get that testimony today. The vote is tomorrow after all. Yeah. The decision was tomorrow. It was sounding like the tide of the school had turned against me. That was to be expected, of course. That's why I had to get the testimony of the person behind it, Mitsuki-san. That night, I got an email from Rai-san. She wanted me there for her meeting with Mitsuki-san. We're going to be talking about you after all. And so at the appointed time, I slipped out to the veranda and headed for the rose garden. Wow, the Jardin really suck at their job. Salutations. Hey. Wait a moment, Rai-san. Just what is going on here? Mitsuki-san glared at Rai-san. You're not going to hurt me, are you? What are you talking about? This is no time for jokes. Alright, Mitsuki-san, if things remain like this, Misaya-san is going to be expelled tomorrow. Of course he is. He's a criminal. Only if the incident really happened. What are you talking about? I'm going to be blunt. I know that you masterminded this incident. How could you say that? Mitsuki-san was doing her best to sound outraged. But even in the faint moonlight, I could see that her beautiful face was warped with guilt. Well, you know that I know the truth after all. You're the criminal here! How dare you speak to me that way? So you won't testify on our behalf? Testify? That the incident was fabricated. Don't be ridiculous. Mitsuki-san turned to leave. Rai-san caught her arm. Wait a minute! Let me go. You know I can't do that. You said it before. The vote is tomorrow. We can't afford to stand idly by either. So you're gonna make me talk? Even if it means striking me? Yeah, won't work. Torture has never and will never be a reliable method for extracting information from people. Sorry. That's enough! Listen, Mitsuki-san. Please look at me. If you run away right now, just believe that we can never, ever be friends again. Very well. Mitsuki-san turned back to face us. Rai-san released her. What do you want to talk about? But let me warn you in advance, I have no intention of going along with your little prank. She glared at us confrontationally. Fine. Then let me start by asking you what you think. You can talk about that, can't you? What I think about what? About the man standing before you. Mitsuki-san and I found our gazes locked together. And it occurred to me that it had been a while since we had faced each other like this. We'd had very few chances to speak. The truth is, I still don't know, so I wanted to finally ask. Mitsuki-san, are you in favour of expelling Miseo-san from the school? What? Setting this incident aside, of course, what I'm asking is, at the premier judgment at the end of the first term, and even at the grand vote, do you stand against reform? What are you saying? You know the answer to that. Is that really the way that you feel? She'd said something similar before, and she wondered if Mitsuki-san was just following along with Marika-san. The fact that you set the trap for Miseo-san finally confirmed for me what was going on. Marika-sama strongly influences your actions. You're being pulled along by her. And what if that is the case? Are you admitting it? I don't believe I said that. Your initial premise is flawed after all. I didn't set any trap. Listen, Mitsuki-san. Rai-san spoke to her in a hushed voice. We used to be the best of friends. Why are you bringing that up now? How could things have turned out like this? If we were the White Lily and the Red Rose Societies, fighting one another on even terms, I would take no issue with that. But now it's different. It's not our relationship at all. I recognise I've avoided addressing the problem honestly, because I wasn't sure what would happen. Because I was afraid. Don't you feel the same way, Mitsuki-san? I suppose. What on earth went wrong between us? Did I do something wrong? To be honest with you, I felt so alone. Rai-san. I was lonely without you, Mitsuki-san. I didn't have any close friends. Of course it wasn't a matter of numbers, but... As far as I could see, Rai-san wasn't unpopular. On the contrary, a solid Ecole, she was extremely popular. But a pedestal could well be isolating in its own way. That was probably why she didn't have any close friends. I couldn't be honest with them. Because I believe that this is my last chance, I'll say it now. I want to be friends with you, like we used to be, Mitsuki-san. And a bit of red came into Mitsuki-san's cheeks. Mitsuki-san, do you feel the same way? It took her a long time to answer. Mitsuki turned her eyes straight to the ground and wrestled out the words with effort. I really... Her shoulders slumped, and she bowed her head slightly. I'm sorry. I think it's all my fault. What? You kept shining brighter and brighter. I was always second to you in everything, Rai-san. You'd just grown too bright. It's funny, isn't it? Even though we were always together. Solid Ecole, huh? It went without saying that she would shine brightly. And it became more striking when we entered final course, didn't it? The hierarchy, as you might call it. You're right. I can't deny that I played the good girl. My title, I did take pride in it. But for what it's worth, I didn't think of you that way at all. I mean that, Mitsuki-san. Yes, I know that, but Rai-san, it's as if you held no doubt about my title whatsoever. What? I heard the whispers when we entered final course. The sun and the moon. It suits them so much it brings tears to my eyes. That's Mitsuki-san's former title, the Lame de Lou. That's right. That's why it made her so upset back then. Chef de corps it is. I believe your earlier title was far more beautiful. You really do mean that, don't you? I was despondent. I thought we'd been friends, equals, but the people around us just didn't agree. Wait a minute, Mitsuki-san. No matter what anyone else said, Yes, I know that. That's why I said it's my fault. I wanted to rise higher. I wasn't trying to get back at you, of course, but I wanted to be equal. Equal to you. A self-deriding smile appeared on Mitsuki-san's lips. Really was foolish, wasn't it? All I did was sink lower than before. It's true that I've always admired Marika-sama as my Wana-sama, but I can't deny that there was more to it than that. I sought the name Chef de corps, believing that it would raise my position in the hierarchy. I really thought Lame de Lune was far more beautiful. I really did. Yes, I've begun to realise that. But I can't take it back now. You don't need to take it back. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Not at all. Since I'd already done it though, I decided to continue. Whether it's Marika-san or anyone else, I think it's good to have friends. So why not leave that as it is? And just do the best you can for your association, Mitsuki-san. Huh? You've given the leadership over to Ritsuko-chan. You can work hard to support her. She's clearly nervous about being a first-year student, serving as society leader. Just have a fair fight between associations. I think that would be, well, a way for your friendship to be equal, like you said before. Mitsuki-san blinked rapidly several times as she listened to me, and then she burst out laughing. Huh? Well, I guess it was a weird thing to say. I tilted my head in confusion. No, not at all. It's just... well, it's strange that you were the one who said it. Huh? After all, you are in the White Lily Society. I guess so, but... well, you can't exactly have a fair fight alone. You need an opponent. But if you lose, then you'll have to leave this place behind. Sure, but no matter what happens, it's always better to enjoy school, Mitsuki-san. My life at the last school year was, well, really boring, so I believe that from the bottom of my heart. So if you aren't enjoying your time at school right now, then we should change that. You really are a kind person. That's right. Your association does look fun. It is fun. We've enjoyed ourselves every day since beginning second year. Right? Yeah. A smile appeared on Mitsuki-san's lips. Then she fixed me with a serious gaze. It is true that if nothing else you may be my neighbour. I'm not yet certain if you are anything beyond that. Mitsuki-san folded her arms and thought for a time. Rice-san, allow me to answer your first question. Huh? About what I think. The truth is, until this moment I thought I had no use for boys, but now I am thinking I would not object to Masaya-san's presence here. And now that I think of that, I cannot lie any longer. I do not want him to leave this place so badly that I am willing to lie. Masaya-san, Rai-san, I will tell you the truth. The incident was fabricated by us. I am sorry. One-sama, Marika-sama. We thought she might be in the bathroom, so we waited several minutes after knocking, but there was no response. Curious. Perhaps she isn't here. Mitsuki-san placed her hand on the doorknob in confusion. It's unlocked. One-sama, we're coming in. She announced herself as she entered, and I waited alone in the hallway. And the others returned shortly. She wasn't there. No. Recreation room, perhaps? Let's check there. It was another miss. We decided to check the bath just to be safe, but Marika-san wasn't there either. Where could she be at this hour? To the rest of the world, the night was still young, but at Venice's things were different. Classes and club activities were over, there was no reason to leave the dorms. I really am worried about her. Mitsuki's expression stiffened. One-sama seemed quite upset. She's not a person who enjoys speaking ill of others. That is why there was always a part of me that thought that I should admit the truth. She was struggling with a crisis of conscience, wasn't she? Yes. One-sama is a righteous woman in everything she does. Righteous woman? I see. I feel so anxious about this. Why don't we split up and search? Of course. Got it. We started to run. We left the path joining the dorms to the school and split up. And heavy rain began to fall as we ran in search of Marika-san. But I kept running defiantly. My body was soaked through in an instant. And it was cold too. Where could Marika-san be? I didn't want to think of her outside in weather like this. Ah! That voice. Was it from the clock tower? I ran towards it, anxiety swelling inside of me. That was no ordinary scream. When I arrived, a cry leapt from my own throat. Ah, she's contemplating suicide! I'll be honest, game, I don't think you've earned that. just from the point of view that if you're going to try and handle a subject like suicide, it requires a certain level of seriousness. This game has not earned that, frankly. Marika-san! Stop it! Wanasama, please don't do this! Words of desperation, and I heard footsteps approaching from behind me, and a moment later I was being pulled by the arm. Mitsuki-san! Musei-san, what are you standing around for? Let's go! Right! We both bolted for the clock tower, and the ground had turned spongy, and our progress was maddeningly slow. It felt like running on a trampoline. Arai-san placed a hand on the entrance to the clock tower, and I was seized by the grip of fear. I felt certain that any minute I was going to hear a thump or a splash sound behind me. The door opened with a heavy sound, and assaulted by a terrible sense of foreboding, I shut my eyes tight. No, okay, that was the end of that chapter. Fair enough. Chapter 13. Premiere Judgment. Wasn't that meant to... Oh god, the Premiere Judgment's meant to be at the end of the first third of the year. What part number are we on at this point? 33? 34? Somewhere in that region? My sense of foreboding eased as we entered the tower. So this is what it's like in here. Faint light streamed from the windows, making it look like the set of a shadow play. And the windows were large enough that I could make out the shape of the room. It was empty, with a staircase running along the wall. Please, be in time. Mitsuki-san whispered a prayer as we ran a race against time. Our footsteps pounded heavily on the iron stairs. There's no railing where Marika-san is there? No. If she fell from that height, she wouldn't survive. Why? Why isn't there a railing? I groaned in frustration. It's partly for scenic purposes. Oh, scenic purposes again. That was also the reason there was no Jardin station right by the school gate. In addition, students aren't expected to go there. It was strange how Venice's could be so strict in some ways and so lenient in others. The fact that I was here was another example. Here I was under house arrest, and then they kept a close watch on my door. My veranda went unwatched. Yeah, that's because I think the Jardin are kind of terrible at their job. On one hand, it was good that they trusted the students. On the other, it really underestimated them sometimes. But it's strange. I would have thought that the gate would be locked. It would be easy enough for Marika-sama to borrow the key. She made up a suitable pretense. That's true. Wanasama! Wanasama! Mitsuki-san, don't stop crying just yet. It's bad luck. It isn't about that. What? I just don't understand. I didn't stop her and I can't stand it. I was with her this whole time. I knew how she was suffering more than anyone. I should have told her that this was all a mistake, but instead I went along with her blindly. I didn't even try to understand her pain. I didn't even try to stop her. I'm no captain of the guard. I'm such a failure. Mitsuki-san, regardless, it's still too early to start crying. Marika-sama is sure to need our support now, and we will need you to be strong for her. Yes, you're right. Mitsuki-san bravely wiped her tears away and hardened her expression. This time, I will live up to my title of Chef de Corps, because that title was not an unpleasant one at all. We were all out of breath by the time we reached the summit. Well then, I'm going to open it. Rai-san opened the door, and the heavy padlock that had fastened it had been removed. When we saw Marika-san beyond, I breathed a sigh of relief. But she was still standing right on the ledge, looking out over a long drop. I wasn't acrophobic, but realising how far the drop would be, I felt overtaken by fear. Wanasama! Mitsuki-san, you have to calm down. I clasped her hand firmly. Just the slightest shift in balance could cause her to fall. We should speak to her, very calmly. Yes, you're right. Mitsuki-san took in a deep breath and called out to her again. Wanasama! Wanasama, it's dangerous there, please. Before you do anything, just look at me. Marika-san wouldn't turn around. If I tried to grab her, I'd probably just end up pushing her off the edge, so I remained where I was. The wind. It was raining very hard, soaking my already sweat-drenched body even further. Time seemed to pass very slowly. Felt like hours before Marika-san spoke, though in reality it had likely only been a few seconds. Mitsuki, I don't understand anything anymore. What? What is righteous? What does it mean to be righteous? The rain was still falling hard, but the noise wasn't intrusive, perhaps because there was so little nearby for it to strike. So even amidst the falling sheets of rain, Marika-san's softly spoken words still reached us. I used to think that I knew what that was. That's why I always acted without questioning myself. Even when I became Lotte Tsuei, I never felt any hesitation. I was putting righteousness into practice. That was what I believed. I never doubted it even once. And yet, what I have done this time, it cannot possibly be righteous. Which means everything I've done up to now in the name of righteousness, all of it. Maybe all of it was wrong, and when I realized that, I started to feel like nothing made sense anymore. What I mean to say is that I feel as though I have ceased to exist. I've always acted righteously, One-sama. I've been with you all this time, I know better than anyone. But, One-sama, I'm sorry. What? People aren't God. We can make mistakes. What's important is realizing our mistakes, trying to make them right. Sometimes we lose sight of ourselves as well. And when that happens, it's especially important that the people around you reach out and help you. All I did was watch. I knew that you were suffering, but I didn't do anything to help you. I've disgraced the title of chef de corps. That isn't true. One-sama, please listen to me. I've realized my own mistake. What do you mean? It's about Rai-san. I know now that it was a mistake to feel the way I did, and I distanced myself from her, and from myself in the process. I've realized my mistake. I've made it right. And now I feel clean and cleansed inside. I see. So please do the same, One-sama. Yes. I believe that your words are righteous, Mitsuki. Huh? Empowered by her words, Mitsuki-san took a step forward. However, Mitsuki... She stopped suddenly, and the rain dripped down her body. I've always had faith, and now it is as if I've been betrayed. It feels like a trial from God, like in the book of Job, and if that is the case, there may still be hope for me, and yet... No, Marika-sama. As the clarion bells rang, Rai-san spoke for the first time. I don't believe it is God who is authorizing your righteousness. Pardon me for saying, but I've always thought that it was strange. Where exactly does your confidence come from? I think that question of whether or not you're righteous is a secondary issue to that. The issues of your unwavering confidence, where does that come from? For the rest of us, uncertainty is the natural state of things. Uncertainty is natural. Yes. But why? Because we are still young. Isn't that right, Marika-sama? Rai-san spoke with a smile in her voice, and gradually a smile began to break through Marika-sama's expression too. You may be right. Yes, you are correct. It's so very simple, yet somehow I forgot it. At some point I became so obsessed with acting righteously that I allowed myself to be guided by my grandmother. And that's where your confidence came from. Yes. And this most recent incident was on your grandmother's instruction. Yes. Rai-san breathed a faint, I knew it. That's right. Marika-san's grandmother was a Venice's advisor or something like that. I put my faith in her for so long, and yet it is not losing her guidance that makes me sad. It is feeling as if I have lost sight of the person that I have been all this time. Marika-san, believing that everything she had trusted in for over 10 years had been a lie, now stood at the precipice between life and death. Right, that to me seems like a pretty decent point to end this part, so I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next.